Did I move? Did I shift my weight or
Oh no,
something?
you're totally good. I tried to do this, like I was doing this a couple times, and like the first couple I was just like really like, yeah, we're having a conversation, and it was like this file was so massive. I need to bring this up and be more conscious about specific things.
Right.
So
You can give me like a cue when you're like, that was good. That was what I needed.
Oh, right. Okay. Second question. Okay. Second question. Hold on. Oh. Talk about kind of. I won't formally ask it, but like having that kind of experience where it's like. I mean, you addressed it a lot in that first question where. But like moments, or even like if you can remember like the first moment where you're like, oh, I'm black, like being in a situation and having that realization, or
Right. And I think that maybe for me, it's actually been moments where I was carrying on just being myself and assuming that that was cool, and then somebody would correct, well, you're not black, so what do you do, you're mixed, or you're, like some people, you might be white, I mean, like, what are you, and so that, like, demand to, like, examine my own, from their lens, like, okay, and I remember, like, my first portrait that I drew of myself, I just, I always, in kindergarten, went to kindergarten, I was always, like, drawing, since I was 4, just always coloring, and all my, portraits were, like, with the brown crayon, black hair, those braids or curls or whatever, and the teacher saying that, like, taking the brown crayon away and saying you need to use the peach crayon, and me being like really confused by that, like, kind of like in my mind it was like either brown or peach. There was no, I mean, the boxes of crayons then were, I was born in the 70s, so we're not very diverse on skin color. So I remember kind of having anxiety over, whether I was going to choose peach or brown, and that being something that created tension, and then also, like holding up the crayons in my own skin and like, what am I, and then also in college, when I went to Belhaven University for undergrad, my art always focused on the black experience, and I portrayed, whether it was my siblings, who all my younger siblings are, like one biracial brother, then all of the other siblings are black. So I, a lot of times was like draw or paint whoever's around, and they were younger, so I was like, sit there, let me let me draw you. And I also was super inspired by Black history books. Like, I read all the time. So I was just, I remember after reading Miss Jane Pittman, I was just like, oh, her struggle and some of the things that I felt, and just that struggle and liberation theme was huge. Frederick Douglass and Du Bois, and just kind of feeling that sense of family, and especially with a lot of the dynamics that went on at home, with really oppressive parents. It's just like feeling that, oh, I have a place, I have a community. And then when I went to Mississippi, feeling like at home in that community, in the Black community there, and feeling very isolated and alienated from the white community. So it was kind of like, it was like peach or brown crayon. You choose a side. You don't get to, you can kind of be a bridge, but pretty much you have a home, one place or the other. And with Mississippi white culture, it was, I was like, didn't feel at home there at all. So from the first day in the cafeteria in undergrad, there was one black table and all the rest were white tables. This is a very small population. of black students. And so I remember like with my tray, like, it's kind of like peach crayon and brown crayon, and I went and sat at the black table because, that looked more like my family. And it was like making a choice again, identity, and also, just that internal struggle. I don't want to be untrue to myself and what I feel, even though other people are going to go, oh, she is not owning her white side, or she, I got a lot of criticism for that. And even in my art then, all of my faces and figures were black, and I didn't even actually, other than my one brother who was mixed, I didn't have any other mixed, I did some self-portraits, but I didn't have anybody else model-wise that was mixed. So it was just like solid black faces and figures. And I remember students being like, why don't you draw white people? Like, why don't you care about the plight of the Irish? And why don't you do that? And like, if you really care about struggle and liberation, you would include the Holocaust, and you include it. And I was just like, that's already being done.
Yeah.
I don't need to add to a repertoire that's pretty full. And also, just I don't want to do that. Like, black is beautiful, and this is what I see, and this is what I want to celebrate. And the individuals that I had model or pose for certain pieces, like, it was either the deep set eyes that I needed to carry a powerful expression for a piece, or a certain anatomy, structure, or whatever it was. Like, and so I remember one time like trying to paint some like white people just because I wanted to get those critiques kind of off my back, and it looked awful. I was like, I actually don't think I can paint.
No,
and
it's
and it
so
was
true.
like one of my professors was like, you do such a great job. Like, you see in light and shadow to a certain way that, like, when I would paint or draw a white person, a lot of times it looked like they had black eyes or something, because like the shadows would be too heavy. And so I would need to do like a lot of like light glazing over top of the colors, because I tend to emphasize value contrast, which really works with black features and darker skin, but it doesn't work as well for light skin, because it's like over the top, and then it looks like something is happening, like there's brutality or something with that person. So I kind of was like, okay. At that point I was like, I could choose to learn how to do this, or I could just carry on doing what I like to do, want to do. And also, again, it's that remaking the image that I want to be a part of, because there's so much negative imagery and portrayal of black people. And also in art history, there's an underrepresentation. Like, more work needs to be contributed to that file. And there's this huge, Michelangelo, Da Vinci, kind of the European masters, and the white figure and face, that it's there. This body of work exists, and there's been so much destruction of African art and images again. And so I just kind of became okay with that. I came to peace with, this is what I want to do. It's okay. I don't have to prove anything to anybody else. And then there was kind of like a third turning point, I guess, with the peach and brown crayon scenario, where this time it wasn't me deciding. It was the audience kind of revisualizing me, which was really interesting to notice. And this is when I was directing the Human Rights Education Institute in North Idaho in Coeur d'Alene. And that institute exists because the Aryan Nations compound was, they lost $1 million lawsuit, and they had to demolish their compound. And now there's a peace park there instead. And out of that was born the Human Rights Education Institute as a preventative measure, so that racism and bigotry would have a constant counter in North Idaho to prevent the Aryan Nation's compound structure ever, you know, recreating itself, or essentially to prohibit hate groups from seeing that as a place that they were free to express white supremacy. And so when I was in that role, I remember just about 6 weeks into working as the director. Well, first of all, I should say I started the same month and year that Barack Obama was elected. And I remember the news report said that the phone was ringing off the hook for the Aryan Nation. It's like new members, you know, people, of course, racism that already was existent inside of them, but there was this groundswell of, oh, no, you know, we can't accept a black president, that's not okay, and so we need to do something to show that we are not on board with that. And so I was a really easy local target. The first article that came out about me coming on board with HREI had like a full body picture of me, and it kind of described me as being from a transracial family, is what the verbiage was there. And then after the hate crimes started toward me and my sons, the next article described me as a biracial woman. And then as the hate crimes kind of ratcheted up in significance, where there's a $13,000 robbery from our home and a noose put on the porch, and there's NIGER written in the street with the arrows pointing to the house, and it was kind of like a pretty, it had escalated. It was an escalated hate crime. That particular event, the article said black woman, you know, so it was a transracial family, biracial woman, black woman, and then that kind of hit the national news. So the Miami Herald called, the Chicago Tribune, and they interviewed me over the phone, and in their articles it said a dark-skinned black woman. And so it was interesting to me that as the hate crimes like escalated, like the more white supremacy groups did to me and my family, the darker my complexion became in the public's eyes without even seeing me. It was like, oh, she got blacker and blacker and blacker, because they kept they attacked her once. Okay, she's got something going on there. She's
not, a little bit black.
She's like, no,
she must be.
No, she's mixed.
Yeah.
No, she's black. No, she's like, you know.
Yeah.
So, I think I actually like almost laughed out like laughed out loud when I read that. It's like dark skin, and I've never been called dark skin. I was like, I mean, not that that wouldn't be, you know, a high compliment or whatever for somebody, because I think that melanin is beautiful, you know, but that's just never been something the audience ever said about me before. You know, even like when I was 5, I thought that I was, you know, but it's always been the feedback loop has, no, you're lighter than you think. No, you can't do that. No, this is not okay. You need to own both sides, or you need to, you know. So that was kind of the third moment of, okay. Yeah. Now the audience is deciding, reframing my identity. So.
Yeah, no, for sure.